One thing, though, that I want to just directly ask you is, do you actually believe that anybody in TPUSA or Erica Kirk or Erica actually participated, had foreknowledge of, or facilitated the murder of Charlie Kirk?
I'm not going to get myself into a legal pickle here. Everything I've said is on my podcast. I think firmly that if I was the investigating officers, I would seat them all and I would ask questions. I would at this phase. I would.
Okay,
so
well, what does that
hypothetical,
mean? Does that mean that you do think so?
I think it was not a sufficient investigation into what we know to be true of 80% of homicides. It's usually conducted by someone you know, right? And the fact that that was never even considered, that like I said earlier, the backpack was returned.
How do you know that was never considered?
Because they gave back the backpack as just one example. They gave back the backpack. They gave back the...
that doesn't show a conspiracy.
Well, I mean, it shows that the police trusted everybody and didn't just hold things up for a second.
They ruled them out as suspects.
That quickly, I'm not comfortable with that investigation. It's a pretty big organization. There's a $100 million incentive. This is...
What $100 million incentive?
What I'm saying is his organization, it had grown to, I think it was 100
plus per year.
Yeah, per year. If that's something you want to factor.
Yeah, but what was
your team wants to play video, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
there's a video they want to play of Candace said it's impossible to not believe Erica's complicit. If you guys want to play that video.
Could also just ask.
And so right now their guys are going out and they're going to look for evidence. And then by May, which is fortunately around the corner, then she'll see what they found. So what the F is that performance? How could you sit up there and say, yes, I 100% believe Tyler Robinson did it. That right there is why it is impossible for me to think that Erica Kirk is not complicit somehow. Because
those two thoughts actually don't even follow. How would it be the case that even if Erica Kirk did believe that Tyler Robinson was 100% responsible for the death of Charlie Kirk, let's just say she believed it with every fiber of her being, believed all the evidence, because she did. She just actually did. Would it then follow that somehow she's complicit in his death?
I didn't say complicit in death. You added those two words.
Okay, so what's she complicit in?
Yes, so sowing this narrative that Tyler Robinson is guilty. So you're chopping up clips. Like I said, you didn't have the confidence to come in and debate.
Okay, well, tell me,
so
what does that mean?
Chopping
What
it
does
up.
complicit mean?
We are showing a clip of her on Barry Weiss, which I can't remember the date that she did that interview. And Erica, when she is asked, do you feel with 100% certainty that Tyler Robinson did this? And she says, I do. Then, again, context matters. I sit down with Erica for 4 hours under the assumption that she had some evidence, right? This is why I did not engage in any Erica, everyone's questioning what she's wearing and all this stuff. I was like, I'm going to wait here because I don't know, just it feels weird to think that, did I think that some of her mannerisms were weird and stuff like that? Yeah, but that's not, you can't convict somebody on weird mannerisms. And then when I sat down with her and I was expecting for her to say, well, I'm obviously the victim on the case and we got to see the shot, taken or this or that, whatever it is. Great. That's why she has that much confidence 2 months ago. And when I sat down with her, it was nothing. It was nothing. Okay. So this is a conversation.
How would that make her complicit?
Complicit. And again, you said complicit in the death of Charlie Kirk.
Complicit in what? Yeah.
Well, if you let me finish my sentence, I could tell you that. But my point being is that then you take a look at this and you go, okay, well, this is weird. Why would you have this confidence? And then when you sit across from somebody and you say, okay, great, I want to go out there and defend you now. I want people to know that you can't say this stuff publicly, but you know more things. And she just blanks. And then she says, well, I'm going to call the lawyer. And she called the lawyer. Again, all of this is on my show. So out of context clips is not going to work because I know what I say on my show. Okay. So we call her lawyer and her lawyer says to us, she calls him on the phone, pardon me. And it's me, her, and Justin Strife. And I'm like, okay, great. What do you guys have? He goes, well, we don't have anything yet. We're not at that phase yet. And I'm like, well, what do you mean you don't have anything? And he says, well, don't you know how it works? It's a probable cause hearing. So basically the state says that they're going to bring this forward. And now our people go out and they look for the evidence to assert that Tyler Robinson is guilty. And so I asked her directly, her lawyer directly, the phone's in between us. I'm like, wait, so just so I'm clear, you haven't seen anything that the public hasn't seen? And he says no. So I'm going back in my head and I'm going, okay, so why is Erica saying with such a degree of certainty, like she was sent out to convince the public and people bit, by the way. I remember even Megyn Kelly was like, let's wait. She's going to have access to things. I did think she had access to things that we didn't have. Why express that confidence to the public as opposed to just being like, we don't know yet. I feel confident he's involved. They made an arrest.
I don't understand. How would any of this make her complicit? And in what?
Well, I've already told you. She's complicit in trying to fool the public into thinking this is some open and shut case.
How is she trying to fool the public into this? If she believes
don't look anywhere else.
If she believes that Tyler Robinson killed Kirk, if she believes that, how would that be complicit in anything?
I do.
Are you saying that you think she doesn't believe it?
I don't believe that at that stage she sat down with Barry Weiss that's what she believes. No, but that's my opinion.
Right, but so when you just say complicit, you just mean she believes that Tyler Robinson killed Kirk? That's it?
That's what we were talking about. That's why I said if your strategy was to dice up clips and take it out of context and make it seem like I said she was complicit. Everything. Yeah, but then why not just play the full thing? Like why?
Because we don't have like infinite amounts of time. I'm guessing you probably don't want to watch.
I'm going to go back to my theory that you didn't feel confident that you could defend your claim that it was overwhelming evidence. So now you're trying to move towards doctored clips and getting me to respond to it.
There's no doctored anything. I'm just making sure that we got this right. Yes, that what you're actually saying is that Erica is just complicit in believing it.
When I re-examined her actions backward, because I did not have this perspective of her at the beginning, which is why it's so funny to me that you guys make it seem like I'm ground zero. People thought Erica was sus from day I forgive him. And I was not a part of that. I did not lean into that. I did not contribute to that. I was getting actually terrible messages from my fans being like, Candace, you and Charlie always say to go with your intuition. You won't address this, how we all feel about her. Things changed for me when I saw that Zoom call. I will tell you that for sure. And the fact that she lied to me. So I sat across from her and, I wanted to have that conversation publicly, but they're probably grateful they didn't do it publicly. She told me some lies. And so the next thing that happens naturally when somebody lies to you, you go, when any person lies to you, whether it's a toddler, people only lie when they're trying to obscure something else.
Have you addressed what that lie was?
Yeah, I've talked about, we have a list of lies that we've been told by, we can find that,
I'm sure. In the meeting with her?
Well, no, I didn't want her to cage up. I didn't want to do this, and because I didn't know what to expect. Like I didn't know if she was going to be like, I'm so overwhelmed with everything, and I don't know who to trust at the organization, and I don't know what I'm doing. Like I didn't know. I didn't want to.
Just out of curiosity, before anything happened with Charlie, how close were you and Erica?
Not very close.
So there's not a relationship.
No, I would say it's totally normal. Like, it's not like there was any issues at all. We were always nice to each other. It just is our life went to a different phase, right?
So the complicit part about Erica to you, is that a gut feeling? You think
it transformed when she lied?
You can take the lead. I'm just asking questions.
Yes.
Go for it.
I actually I still don't understand what you think she's complicit in.
Yeah. So when I say Erica's complicit, that's my opinion. When you tweeted Erica's too retarded to kill her husband, would you like to explain how you developed your evidence, your positive evidence for the fact that Erica was retarded?
Yeah, sure. So I just think all women are retarded.
Oh, so you're allowed to just say stuff. Who knew? So what dramatically transformed your opinion of Erica after going to the headquarters? Because you were pretty hostile about.
I wasn't hostile towards them.
You don't think calling somebody too retarded?
No, come on. That's like normal tongue-in-cheek stuff for me online.
Oh, you're being tongue-in-cheek.
Usually when I call someone retarded, I'm being tongue-in-cheek. Yeah. Like for instance, you got supporters. I mean, if you want to use the same exact argument, you would take a supporter like Owen Benjamin. He called you bad names and called your husband bad names. You're just like, well, that's no biggie.
I've never answered him on anything that he said. I'm saying that you now are her biggest defender. So do you still think
I'm not her biggest defender?
Do you still think she's too retarded?
No. I didn't know Erica Kirk. I'd never met her before.
Okay, but you had an issue with Turning Point being led by a bunch of fembots talking about the feminist angle.
Still do.
And then suddenly you go to the headquarters.
Still think it's a terrible idea.
You go into the headquarters. Mm-hmm. Now all of a sudden you've got text messages that you're sharing with them. You say that you and your wife are getting involved with management.
No. I'm not involved in any management at Turning Point.
Well, I'm pretty sure there is a clip of you where you say that your wife went to their recent conference and sat down down. And then when you were on Joe Rogan.
No. Hang on. I'll explain what happened just so that you understand.
Yeah.
So I was invited there to do some debate training. That's literally what I was invited there to do on recommendation. So I went down and did some debate. That's the first time I ever met anybody at TPUSA.
Okay. And then you said you sat down with Erica.
Well, I didn't sit down to her. I talked to her in a hallway.
So you didn't sit down and speak with Erica?
No, I didn't have like some sit down long conversation. We talked in a hallway.
Okay.
For,
Is that when you gave her the hug?
Yeah, gave her the hug right there. My wife did too. We were both very sorry for what happened.
Okay,
to
so
her.
at what point did you start receiving text messages from that you cited in your opening statement?
I just reached out to TPUSA and said, I'm prepping for a debate. Is there anything that's pertinent that I can use here?
Do you find it interesting that people have been asking for, basic answers to questions, and you're saying that you walked into their headquarters and reached out and they instantly... It's
amazing, isn't it? If you reach out in good faith and you're not demonizing them and saying that they're complicit in the murder of people's deaths, that perhaps they're actually willing to release things to you that are pertinent, other than thinking that, perhaps you're diabolical.
Well, I don't know. I feel like
intentions.
if I was going to release that information, I didn't demand that it be released to me. I actually never demanded that it be released. I just simply said that this is what was going on in the last 48 hours. Maybe to the media, they could release it. They could release it to PBD. They decided to release it to a guy that called Erica too retarded in June.
So what?
Yeah, I just think it kind of shows that Turning Point is sending you as their horse.
Well, I don't know where
they don't have the courage to have the convation.
Like, I don't.
If they were just releasing something in good faith to answer questions,
do you have any
I've never
evidence
demanded.
of that claim?
It's not evidence.
No.
You're sharing your opinion
No.
that she's too retarded. I can't share my opinion that I think it's going to register as really obvious to the public. That rather than presenting that throughout the course of everybody wanting to know what Charlie was going through his last days, they decided to give it to you to come to my house as some sort of a surprise.
Well,
do you think the public's not smart enough to see through that?
Do you think that if you
talking
know
about terrible PR,
if you know that there's a huge debate that's coming up that's going to be probably one of the most viewed that year, and one of the debaters calls you and says, I'm taking this position. This is the position that I feel like there's the most evidence for. And Candace also agreed to answer many of my questions in regards to this. So if you got pertinent evidence here that I can use, I'd definitely like take a look. It was actually amazing to me. It really was actually amazing to me how if you approach people in good faith and just say, hey, I'd actually like to know what the facts and details are around this, they actually do talk to you. It's amazing.
Yeah, I just do not believe, that they are doing this in good faith. I don't believe that anything you have done has demonstrated that's in good faith. It demonstrates that you walked into Turning Point USA headquarters and came out a different man because you were critical of the organization. You were critical of Erica, and now you're sitting here going, Candace, I want to interrogate you for an hour and a half about everything you've ever said about Erica.
Have you ever been critical of somebody that you hadn't met, and then you meet them and you're less critical of them?
And the inverse has happened too. I was less critical about Erica, and now I'm more critical about her.
But I'm asking you, isn't it the case that there's people you've been critical of, and then you've met them and you're less critical after you meet them?
Too retarded. I feel like if you think that she's dumb and let's just talk about your record. I mean, you're a person that has spent time in what most people would term to be the manosphere, talking about well, yeah.
I debate against
against feminists
and red pillars, and a lot of the actual. So I'm a Christian ethicist.
And then you go on to Joe Rogan, and you're like soft explaining away why Erica had to take over Charlie's company when they don't have a parent at home. So now you're a feminist icon. Like you just go into the headquarters and you just shift all of your perspectives.
That's a bizarre criticism. Like nobody's in the bigger girl boss position than you.
I'm actually You're
in the biggest of the girl boss positions. Like you don't have to do this. You just do this. You could definitely not do it at all and be fine, right? But you still do.
I would say that you are making a comparison that cannot be compared because Erica's husband was just assassinated in front of the world.
Which makes sense why she would take the organization over.
No, it makes sense why you would go home to your kids, just so you know.
Wait a second. That's bizarre.
Yeah, because they don't have a parent. They don't have a parent, and they've just suffered a trauma. You don't go into the office.
You want to protect your husband's legacy, right?
No.
And you're trying to find some new normal.
The legacy is his children, not the organization.
It's both.
No,
yes, it is both. It's totally rational and reasonable to believe that it would be both Turning Point USA. That is part of Charlie Kirk's legacy. He worked his whole life for it.
This is why people think she's sus.
And his children. Now, for you though to say that anybody's a girl boss. Right? That's like the pot calling the kettle black.
That came out of your mouth.
No, that was you. You brought up girl boss.
Girl boss came out of your mouth.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm telling you that you brought up this idea that I'm defending some feminist nonsense. I'm not. I'm pointing out that they're by the way,
She's not qualified
always
to take over his company.
There's always objective outliers to each situation. In fact, it's the exception that proves the rule. And the interesting thing here is like, I'm still just as critical of feminism inside of TPUSA as I've always been. And I'm just as critical of any pro-Zionist position as I've ever been. None of that's ever changed. By the way, I would think it's the most rational, reasonable thing on planet Earth to do if you wanted to actually see an organization change, to try to work with leadership or reach out to leadership to try to do so. Doesn't that make the most amount of sense?
I would like to state for the record that I think Erica is underqualified to run the organization. Sure. And on the more emotional aspects, I agree with what seems to be a majority opinion, because I'm not going to say it's scientific, that any woman that would leave her kids and go right into the office after their husband was publicly assassinated does not have their priorities straight.
Okay, well, I understand that you can have those criticisms, but I'm not understanding still how that would make her complicit.
I don't have to keep answering the same question.
Okay,
so let's
feel like you got an answer to how it's complicit?
Your team is asking to play a clip, so if we want to play this clip to just finish this segment on the Erica Kirk topic, we can spend some time on that as well. Okay. So if you guys are ready in the back, we're ready.
And causing that 30-06 diameter, as would happen with a patent explosives, as we've demonstrated to you in the past, it accidentally, because of how Charlie was crouched, went up and hit his neck. And that ruined everything. That ruined everything. It was problematic. It's the reason why Terrell then had to scramble to get the cameras down, because they were never supposed to see it. They could have said reasonably that a 30-06 got eaten by Charlie, much more reasonably, obviously, than saying that the chicken bones in his neck stopped it because he ate vegetables. They panicked. That's why Terrell's nervous on the phone with me. Again, this is my theory, and I am now very much sticking to it. Okay. They panicked. It's the reason Erica had to step out. That's why she would have gotten on the phone with Terrell so quickly, because I was going, why is Terrell saying, well, I didn't want Erica to relive, oh, that's why I did it. He didn't have an answer. He was nervous. It was crazy. But he acknowledged it. He spoke to Erica immediately. Why did you speak to Erica immediately?
So do you believe that there was a shape charge that killed Charlie?
In this episode, we are now going, and that's why I said we're now going to look at some alternative theories. I made it very clear that this was a theory that I didn't want to look at. This is, I believe, because I don't have every episode on my head, but I'm pretty sure this is an episode where we presented the evidence that was in the car, the photos of what was in the car, right? And so we are now inferring off of what we see in the car that this very much does look like that we see a bunch of shattered Rode microphone, which was an early theory that I was actually interested in, but couldn't really wrap my head around what was the shape charge explosive. As I say at the beginning of the episode, it was just not my expertise. And I was concerning myself with timelines and stories and statements that didn't make sense. Without question, Terrell Farnsworth is someone who made me think that we were missing a big part of the story. So I'm walking them through John Bray's theory. If we started to insert what we are actually observing with the evidence that we're taking a look at and what took place that day. So we're completely in the hypothetical right here. And you're now introducing this.
If that's the case, if you're just hypothetically exploring it, that's why I'm just asking directly.
Yes, but that's obvious when you watch this episode. So that's why it feels like I'm in the middle of an interview with CNN when they pull up random clips and they're like, "What's this? What's this?" You watch the episode, you know what it is. I'm just trying to make
sure. Do you think that your alternative theory?
I think John Bray's theory should be explored. Yes.
Okay. Do you think that Charlie Kirk was killed with an explosive?
I think that is a possibility. Yes.
Okay.
And it should be explored. He's done a lot of work on it. John Bray has done good work, and I think that's why that theory is now starting to gain steam since we released the second set of the photos of what was in the car. I think it's viable.
So this was the big thing I wanted to get into with you on the explosives too. What is it about that theory that's actually compelling to you? So I looked into the explosive mic theory multiple times, and the biggest thing that stood out to me is there's no explosion. There's literally no explosion. In fact, there's videos when the shot rings out that kills Charlie, at least it sounds like a shot to me, people are actually like looking up towards where the gun is being fired. They're looking away for where the sound is. Like, where's the actual explosion?
Well, for every person that you say looks away, there's going to be a person that was looking forward. We have former Marines that have gotten on and said, it looks to me like there's an explosion under his shirt, right? You obviously saw Rob O'Neill go on to, I'm forgetting which platform it was, where he said, it's the first thing I thought was it looked
Rob O'Neill is the man that killed Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, and I think he's qualified to say what he believes he saw. We should actually, since they're pulling clips, we should run that clip of Rob O'Neill and what he said and what he observed and his experience.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take that. And also there were people who immediately spoke to the media that day who said the same thing, that they thought that something happened under his shirt. That was actually, if you go back to like my first episode, when I was just observing what I saw with my eyes, I was asking the serious question. I was seriously saying, why is it like somebody shot him from underneath? Why is his shirt moving first? That doesn't make sense to me. And that's
because of air dispersal from the bullet. So whenever a bullet is shot, a projectile shot, you can actually run this experiment yourself if you have a rifle.
Mm-hmm.
Take like an empty box of ammunition and put it on the table, and then fire it near the muzzle, and that box will actually blow off the table.
Okay, so question for you. Does that box go sideways off a table?
It can.
It can.
Yeah, it can. It depends on the dispersal.
You 3,000 pounds of energy or 2,000 pounds of energy coming at you. That's how much it carries.
Well, it's not 2,000 pounds of energy.
Well, we can fact check that. How many pounds of energy is it? A 30-06 being shot 150 yards away. That's a great question for Grok. I'm going to say when we looked at it, it was between 1,500 and 2,000. I'm pretty sure pounds of energy coming at you, and you just go upward and to the side. I don't really buy that. I'm going to just say I just think that that's not possible. It doesn't go through on top of that. So there's another miracle. You didn't get blown backwards. It didn't go through. But I also want to say that you're saying this can happen, and Rob O'Neill is infinitely more qualified, I think, to speak on that.
Why?
And because he's actually shot and killed people.
Why would that have anything to do with anything?
Because
did he slow down all the videos of the people he shot to see if their clothes moved?
Well, why are you able to assert your position as a fact?
Because I'm gonna tell you how projectiles work. He's not even gonna I guarantee you this guy's not even gonna disagree with what I'm about to say. If it is the case that you have energy and you have mass, and the mass is moving in the air has to go somewhere. It doesn't have a choice.
I think you're totally BSing right now, man.
Not only am I not BSing, I'm telling you the truth. If a bullet is moving in air has to move out of way of bullet.
But maybe not at the bottom of a shirt here. I don't know. I disagree with that. I'd like to say, for the record, I've watched some of you do these sorts of things where you assert something with a lot of confidence, and
you can fact check it.
Fact
check if bullets displace air.
Not about whether it displaced air. It's where it dispersed the air. It was underneath his shirt here.
It's not underneath the shirt.
A bullet's this big, and you're telling me it's going to hit his neck.
Candace,
and then
it's not underneath
beneath
the
his shirt. The
it
shirt
starts
puffs
up here, and the collar's moving, and then you see the wave here as he's moving backwards.
No.
Yeah.
That's not true.
It's not.
And we obviously can't show that clip. I disagree with you.
Okay, I understand you can't show it for TOS purposes.
Exactly.
That's fine.
I disagree with you. People can go watch and make up their own minds. We don't need to debate it. Whether or not that was the first thing I said was, why is his shirt moving first? That didn't make sense to me. It almost looks just like this. It goes across. His necklace breaks first before Charlie even reacts. If you watch it in slow, his necklace breaks first, which I thought was very odd. And then you see a puff here, and then the next thing you know, there's the entry wound on his neck. I would not confidently assert that I see smoke. I've never said it on my platform.
Do you think that an explosion generally has smoke?
I don't think that there's any quality version of video that would get us to be able to answer that question other than Terrell's 4K footage that he has from the front. So
there's a lot of, if you look at the Israeli pagers, it's assumed that it's a similar, if not the same type of explosive that was used inside the pagers that would have been used inside of this road mic. I
think that you should, since you love debating, you should debate someone like John Bray, who's worked on that theory for 11 months, and ask those sorts of questions of how a shaped charge would work. I presented the evidence of what was in the car, and I also, at that episode that you're clipping, said John Bray has done an unbelievable amount of work on this, and I think he has debated a ton of people, actually, regarding this topic. So that's the route that I would send you on. For the purposes of my show, I do believe, to answer your question, that it is a hypothetical. I mean, that it is a theory that should be thoroughly explored.
There's two clips your team wants to show. One of them is the Rob O'Neill clip, since we're on it. So if you guys are ready in the back before we go to ad break, If you want to pull it up, this is a good time to do so.
And good to see you, General Holt.
You too.
A lot of things bother it bothers me about this. Nothing in particular. And it's not like I'm out there saying big lie or conspiracy or someone did it. I'm just saying I've been in a lot of shootings. I've killed more than a handful of people, and this thing looked shady off the bat. I mean, I've killed people closer than I saw the camera, and I've never seen a shirt move like that. That looks like an explosion to me. Just the fact that no one started doing first aid to Charlie Kirk, they were more concerned about getting SIM cards out of cameras, removing cameras, and then getting him off the X somehow. There didn't seem a lot of concern for his life. It seemed like just clean it up. And then, I mean, I've been told they paved it over a couple days later. And then you get Erica Kirk behind all the razzle dazzle, and she's really quick to forgive the alleged shooter, which technically says that was him because I forgive him, but then she can't forgive Candace Owens for having an opinion or asking questions. And they mock people by saying, oh, I'm just asking questions. Yeah, I'm a SEAL Team 6 sniper. I'm asking a lot of questions. No one wants to answer them.
And you're able to ask.
He's actually said very little about the explosive there. So
I'm just saying he said he's shot people up close and he's never seen a shirt move like that. And it looked to him like an explosive. That's what he just said.
But when I play that video at full speed, I can't see a shirt moving. I can only see a shirt moving when we slow it way down. So if I'm in real time, I'm just assuming this, right? If I was in real time and I was in like a close quarters combat, you kill somebody situation and I shot them, would you even see the shirt move?
Well, I just feel like 5 minutes ago you were arguing that it was because the bullet carried air. Now you're saying you don't see the shirt move at all.
Yeah, but that's, if you slow it down, the disbursement of air, that's where you're going to see it, right? It's going to be very quick. Very, 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 very fast.
Yeah,
and then
that's not what I saw. And clearly it's not what he saw. And he thinks that there could be an explosive. So I'm just saying to you, people disagree with you. Your opinion's not a fact. That's all.
I understand.
I think that's a good place for us to, if we have another break, and then we can keep answering your questions.
All right, fantastic. So Andrew, if you want to go with your last couple thoughts.
Yeah, so I just have two more clips to play.
Okay.
Right, and then we can do final thoughts. I'm guessing. I feel like we got where we were trying to go, or at least for the most part. So the two other clips, I do want to play the Twigs clip. That one is important to me, the Twigs DNA clip.
Yeah.
And they're going to pull it up just to have you respond to it.
Well, you don't have to play it because, like, if you're saying that when I initially watched it, I thought that Lance Twigs' DNA, like, he was directly responding to that because the testimony was a bit confusing. They started by saying that they were going to like explaining how they got the samples, and they said Lance, Matt, and Amber Robinson, how they got their DNA samples, and then they started speaking about the gun and said, multiple prints were found on them, and then they moved and they said Lance Twigs' DNA was found on the screwdriver. When I went back and rewatched it, I realized, well, they haven't officially said that Lance or Amber are on the gun, so I think I've already conceded that we don't know that. So I think, like, but if you want to play the clip,
this is directly you saying it is on the gun. Twigs' DNA
I'm saying
is
that
on
I
the
feel
gun.
like I've already said to you, like, I've made that concession. But just to be clear, whenever I make a mistake, I just correct it. So that's why when you were asking me 3 times, I've already said we don't know yet, and I've corrected that mistake. So if the purpose of you showing this is to demonstrate that Candace makes mistakes sometimes when she's taking in a lot of information and she's reading through legal documents and she's trying to remember 9-hour testimony.
It's to demonstrate something else. It is, in fact, the case. We're all going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm going to make mistakes.
And I've already
You're going to make mistakes in the case.
Yeah.
But in this case, you were very adamant that his DNA was on the gun itself.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that it's not ruled out. We know that there's 5+ prints. I've said this so many times. I had to rewatch the testimony again. It's like 9 hours a day. It got very scientific when they were speaking about this. And I think I wrongly extrapolated that they meant all 3 of them were on the prints when the only person they officially named was Matt Robinson. So we don't know yet if Lance Twigs has his DNA on the prints, DNA on the gun officially just yet.
Okay.
I've already conceded that.
Sure.
So
that's fine. And then the last one is one with Erica Kirk.
Sure. This is like the Erica Kirk. All right,
Well,
Erica. You could just sit down with me, Erica, but we can do it this way.
This goes back to a previous claim that you made.
Yeah,
by
sure.
bringing it up.
Straight to jail. We're questioning at least Erica.
I don't care who's mad. I really do not care who
wants to be upset after this episode, really, you will be wasting your breath. You can spend $1 billion on influencers because this is all becoming increasingly inexplicable. You are asking me to be an idiot, actually, and I cannot do that for you. Someone once commented beneath this show that if the situations were reversed and there were this many verifiable lies,
So straight to jail.
Yeah, so that's the show intro, and straight to jail is a monopoly term.
Okay.
Like, you know.
So do not pass go.
Yeah.
Do not collect $200.
Yes, it's
You're going straight to
obviously
jail.
tongue in cheek. And then we explain that actually I think that she should be brought in for questioning because of inconsistencies. So this is the exact episode when I started to think that she should be sat down and questioned. And I still believe that. I still hold the perspective that Erica should be sat down and she should be properly questioned.
Do you know that she hasn't been?
No, actually, that would be a great thing for the spokesperson of Turning Point USA to say that she's already
but
sat through.
why do they?
I mean, my guess would be she hasn't because they returned everything to her.
Yeah.
But
Why do they owe you that though? Why
they don't owe me
yeah.
anything. That's my show you're watching. Just, you know, the clips that you're pulling are
Yeah.
from my show. So if I want to say something on my show, I can say that. I didn't say
can.
they owe me something. I don't think that's ever,
You
unless you
can,
have
but
another
if you
clip.
say like you need to be sat down for questioning
Yeah.
and you don't even know if they haven't been, that's strange, right?
Do you know if they have been?
No, I have no idea.
So you're just saying, what if they haven't been?
Yeah, if your
You're just kind
entire
of filling the air.
if your
with
entire
just
thing is
junk.
if you're no, it's not junk. If the query is why is it that Erica Kirk's not being sat down for questioning, but you have absolutely no knowledge whether or not she's been sat down for questioning or not. What that does is it creates an innuendo. It creates an inference. It creates out to the ethos that this should be happening because something's wrong here when you actually don't have the knowledge that anything's wrong at all.
I just think that my opinion is that she should be sat down and questioned.
But you're not sure if she hasn't been.
Yeah, and you're not sure if she has been either.
And I'm happy to get into also the Patsy stuff now if you would like to.
Well,
Your
that
team
was
has one more
supposed
clip
be
they want
the
to play
whole
The one
from
more,
7 days
okay,
ago.
sorry.
They got one
They
more
had
clip.
to.
and
We
then
were
can
getting
go to
into the
Patsy.
Patsy stuff and you stopped it and I was explaining to you. Oh, they have one more clip. Okay, let's go.
Did this crime. Okay? Because Lance
I can't
Twiggs
hear this. My
has
thing
his
went out. Just
DNA
tell me what
on
it
the
says. I don't
towel.
care. It's fine.
Lance Twiggs has his DNA on the rifle.
Lance Twiggs
And to
has
be
his
clear,
DNA on the
Lance
right.
Twiggs'
Said this- conceded this
DNA
4 times,
was
but I don't
not
know why they feel
as
like they need
degraded
to-
as Tyler Robinson's DNA was on Tyler's rifle. It's Tyler's rifle.
Oh, you
but
also
Lance's
said, yeah, it's
DNA
not as degraded on the rifle.
Yeah, because I thought he was one of the things. But I've already that's what I mean when I say that. Like, it just seems like you're not actually here trying to engage, because even before you got to this, and I knew that you had some secret clip planned, I said to you, when I rewatched the testimony, I realized that they didn't explicitly say Lance Twiggs. They said 5 other profiles were on it and that his was the most degraded. So I hope your team feels fulfilled in playing that. Is there any more? I'm happy to play every clip that he has on the ready. Anybody?
You said you had some new evidence at the beginning of the.
Oh yeah,
debate
we should
you had
show that
something
text
new.
message that you read,
Did you
just
wanna
because
share
I
that?
think that's important for the public. You shared it out of context.
I'll do it on my show. I'll share the text
So you're going to
message.
read it on my show, but not show it.
Correct.
Okay.
So I'll show it on my show, but that's what I'll do. I'll show it on my
Can
show.
I ask why?
Well, because I want to drip out the evidence, that's got to drip out that evidence, keep people coming back for the show, right?
I don't know if snark serves you so well.
I'm just saying, like, yeah, I'll release it there. Yeah, that's my intention. But yeah, I'm fine with closings if you want to do closings.
Well,
I have my other question is about
Mm-hmm.
the steakhouse receipt.
You just said that you were done asking all your
Nothing, just
questions.
so you know,
Yeah.
nothing there.
There. I don't
Yeah, do you
need to
have the
that.
steakhouse receipts? My question.
I have said several times that I have never said I have the receipt for the steakhouse. I have said the person who's working on that story is going to be forthcoming with the receipt. And that was what I was responding to. And he then dropped the receipt. He redacted elements of it. And I said, stay tuned. He's the one working on that story.
Okay, so you haven't actually confirmed that Robinson was at that steakhouse.
All I did, as I said earlier in this conversation, was I spoke to the owner when I broke that story. I think it was back in January. I spoke to the owner, understood what had happened, and that there was a receipt. That's it. That's the extent of what I shared is what happened.
Okay, so to be clear, there's no receipt. You
No,
don't,
I just said the opposite. I said there is a
well,
receipt.
you don't have a copy of the receipt.
The receipt was published online.
Yeah, right, with blurred
The
out.
person working on this story
Yeah.
that blurred that out
Mhm.
is what I was referring to when I said stay tuned and keep following his stuff, because he went to go do what I hadn't done, which was he interviewed the actual server.
So there's no evidence that Tyler was at that steakhouse?
I would say the receipt with his debit card number, it would be some hard evidence if that
I agree with that.
Yeah,
But,
so that's it. But you're questioning me.
But is there, as of right now,
he paid, if you're asking me, did he pay with a credit or debit card? The answer is yes.
No. Is there proof that that was actually his debit card that he paid with?
I think you should follow the person that is behind that story.
Well, the reason I'm asking you is because you always include it in your timeline that he traveled to the steakhouse.
Yeah, we've been building a timeline with things that we feel are
But is there any actual
Utah 1102
evidence?
approved. I think speaking to the owner, knowing that there's a receipt, seeing the receipt is good enough to put on our timeline.
But the receipt itself, the question I always had about it is, couldn't you just call the merchant? Like if I've ever had a merchant account, I just call the merchant account processor and say, what's the name on this?
Yeah, I would stay tuned. I feel that having spoken to the owner, that the evidence is compelling enough to put onto my personal timeline of what took place on that day. That's where it's going to stay. And if it gets debunked, I'm happy to take it off. If that's what you mean, that's how an investigation works. Like I said, I did more than enough. It would definitely pass the test by the Utah 1102 rule, for sure, for certain.
To be submitted as hearsay.
Well, yeah, beyond that, because they didn't even have receipts. They were like, Bob told me this.
But the question is, the receipt itself, it has not been verified to have been Tyler Robinson's.
I just want to say you're holding me to a higher standard than you are.
I'm not even holding it. I'm just
prosecution.
asking specifically.
Yeah, I've been very forthcoming. I've told exactly what happened. I spoke to the owner. I got the tip, and
So should that be added in an official timeline that you give?
It's in my timeline. It's my show, and we can add and subtract what we want, and we do. If
You
we
can
get
do
something
what you
wrong,
want, sure. But
cool,
I'm
I just wanted to
asking,
make sure.
should you include a thing that you know hasn't actually been verified to be Tyler Robinson's?
Yes, you should. If we're trying to build a timeline, you should. Yeah.
You don't think that falls
and then
under...
you should remove it if someone somehow debunks it. But I think that there is very strong evidence that is where he was, and that
What's the strong evidence? Just the two people who said that they saw him?
You know, I'm actually all good with being. I feel like I've sufficiently answered your question about how I got
All
the
right, fair
information,
enough.
what happened next. Would the next stage of this investigation being somebody accessing knowing what his debit card was and confirming it? Yes. And I do believe that will happen. If it does not happen and it gets debunked, I'll remove it from my personal timeline that I share on my show.
What's your issue with that?
Well, so the issue is that the entirety of the evidence revolves around two people who claim that he was there and supposedly a receipt. There's supposedly a receipt where Tyler Robinson paid for his steak and his soft drink. No alcohol, right? No alcohol, right? You know nothing about the case. But anyway, this particular receipt, they could have called the merchant account, confirmed it, this type of thing. To date, this receipt has only the blurred information on it that would actually give you the information to confirm whose receipt it is. We have to date, nobody has confirmed that this was actually Tyler Robinson's receipt. And yet inside of Candace Owens' timeline, which she states over and over again, when she says, this is the longest 13 hours, this is 13 and a half hours, the requirement for about roughly 5.5 or 6 hours of that is that he went to the steakhouse. And that's not been confirmed at all. Not even a little bit.
I feel like saying that I spoke to the owner of the steakhouse is me, like, not just being on X looking at opinions, but actually doing the legwork. And that's why like I said, if you think this builds up a rapport with your audience and makes you seem like a serious person, we don't have to keep belaboring the point here. I feel like I've demonstrated that I did as much as I could to confirm this when it came in. I spoke to the owner of the restaurant, obviously took down everything he said, noted that there was, in fact, a receipt that he pulled. That receipt that was published is real. A debit card and a credit card was used. If for some reason somebody misidentified something down the line, or we find out it's a different Tyler Robinson, I'm happy to remove it from my timeline. But for right now, I think that there's enough under the Utah 1102 rule for me to keep it there. I don't really think we need to keep going into circles about this receipt. It's my timeline.
I don't know why the 1102 rule would apply here for your
because
timeline.
You were constantly cite things that are said in that courtroom that have less evidentiary support than me contacting and speaking with the owner of the restaurant. It's not like I dreamed it, as to use your expression. So it's in my timeline, and I'm going to keep it there if that's
sure.
Cool.
You can keep whatever
Great.
you want there.
Okay.
I'm just saying that there's no evidence he was ever there.
Okay, thank you. I think
No
we
hard
delivered the
evidence
point.
anyway. Yeah, I'm fine with closing.
Okay, so I'll come to you first.
Yeah, she had nothing. Just nothing. For all of her claims of Patsy, nothing. She didn't have a single claim. She didn't have a single solid piece of evidence. She had no positive evidence Israel's involved in anything. No positive evidence that France is involved in anything. No positive evidence TPUSA is involved in anything. No positive evidence that Erica Kirk is involved in anything. When I ask her about her claims about Erica Kirk, yeah, it's just funning. It's just funning, you know? Or, yeah, I do think that she needs to sit down and ask some questions, but, or answer some questions, but you know what? I don't even know if she has. Like, maybe she has. I have no idea. Yes, I'm going to have an official timeline with unconfirmed evidence. That's just fine. Hey, it's hearsay. If that's good enough for the state, it's good enough for me. But my biggest problem with the state is that they're admitting all this hearsay. It's like she's a contradiction machine. On top of all of this, the thing that I wanted to get out of this more than anything else was to just demonstrate one thing. Yes, it's true. I'm not perfect on the case. I'm not going to ever pretend that I am, and never did. But what has been made very clear to me is that there's nobody with an alternative theory that has any evidence for it at all. None. Zero. And the continuous kind of expression, we're running an investigation. What kind of investigation builds a timeline out on a receipt that they don't even confirm? What kind of investigation tries to make these bold claims that Israel's involved and France is involved and all these different players are involved and never shows any evidence? We're just asking questions. It's again, like I said in my opening, it's always intuition, my feelings, how I feel about things, how I think about things. Andrew, how many times did you hear this today? Andrew, you can't tell me how I'm supposed to think. Yeah, nobody's trying to tell you how to think. But you should rationally come to your conclusions based on evidence and facts. And the truth is that 90% of what you're saying is simply intuition based. It came to me in a dream. It's intuition. Almost none of it has any evidence at all. Just, I'm skeptical because these people over here said things, and that makes me skeptical. It's like, but no evidence. Note this to the audience, to everybody watching. You might hate my guts. That's fair enough. I get that. I'm not the most likable man. I understand that too. But there was nothing. I mean, no evidence at all that Tyler Robinson was a patsy that was ever put forward by Candace this entire debate. Now, maybe you could say that we stalemated when it came to whether or not Robinson did it. She says, I found the evidence convincing. Unconvincing. Andrew says he found the evidence convincing. Okay, fair enough. Maybe you can't do too much about that. But there was nothing. She had nothing for Robinson being a patsy. Nothing for any of her conspiracies. Nada, zero, zilch, and she backed away on a bunch of them. This is the first time I think she's ever really backed away from the Twigs thing. First time I've heard her back away from the Erica thing, back away from TPUSA, being very cautious about making any of those claims now, whereas on her show, much more likely to be making those claims. So she just had nothing the entire debate. Zero.